Alright, so this video did run really long, but I finally covered a bunch of topics I've been wanting to for a while. I tried to run through them as quickly as I could, but I'm long-winded and rambly, so I'm gonna not have so many talking points in the future. But I think this is a decent second video for our 10 video challenge. Ben posted his first video, so now I've got to post my second one so I can stay ahead of him. And the real goal is not to win, it's to encourage each other to keep going. So if you make it all the way through, great. If not, I understand. Comment why you got bored and left, and at what point. If there's anything you want to talk about. I mean, I've done so many weird things in my life, and so many life experiments, and different jobs, and trips, and travels, and weird stuff that a lot of people wouldn't even try. So this video covers some of that, and I have a lot to talk about. I've just never been comfortable in front of a camera. So let me know what you think. Enjoy the video. If you hate it, dislike it. It's not going to show up anyway. But yeah, enjoy. Ignore the thumbnail. I have no idea what I'm doing. This is just to get started. Cheers. Alright, so this morning Ben posted his first video of 10 for our 10 video challenge to force us to just make our videos and get our channels going. I liked it. It's personal, it's deep, it makes sense. It reminds me of the conversations him and I have as close friends. And the fact that he's willing to put that out into the world so other people can start to see his specific struggles and goals and see someone working on them. I think that's important. Too many people put on a brave face or only show the best of themselves on social media and the internet in general or in public. People don't want to share their flaws, and I don't blame them. I've been judged very harshly for being open and honest. So I'm not a fan of it, but it is important because I've known people that are brutally honest and be like, yep, this is what I struggled with and this is how I got through it, and that helped me. So kudos, Ben. Keep up the good work. I'm going to go through a list of points I've got down here on my laptop as quickly as I can because I tend to ramble, which I'm working on. I've got a decent audio setup. I think the lighting is a lot better. I actually have a chair to sit in, which is nice. So we're just going to get started through these points. I'm going to post this video, send it to Ben, and get some feedback on it, see what people think. All right, first thing is Ben's video. Yeah, those humbling experiences I'm very familiar with. I've been humbled my entire life by all sorts of things. I've been generally bad at life, so I know what it's like to get smacked in the face with a humble pie regularly. It's good for you at times. He's seeking the same thing I've been seeking my whole life, which is a path to become a better person, self-improvement. So he struggled to figure out what to make his channel about and landed on self-improvement because that's what he's passionate about. Well, that's what I'm passionate about as well. I've always felt I could do better and be better and get more done and do more interesting things and live a better life. So that's what I want to focus on. I'll cover my goals for this channel here in a minute. The desire to share valuable experiences and to share with other people. I don't think everyone has that. A lot of people just go through their life and they don't really care to explain why they're doing what they're doing or how or anything. They just go through their life. It's all about them, which is fine. We get to do what we want with our own life. I think it's really valuable to share what we're going through. And it comes down to the last part of Ben's video is if you want to do something, just do it. We've been talking about making our channels for way too long and never made a move on it and never defined what they are. And you can't solve a problem until you define it. You can't solve a problem until it is thoroughly defined. And then you break it down into stages and steps and small bites, and then you just work through it. Just getting a video out is a really good first step. I've got the luxury of some lights and a camcorder with a zoom lens and a little professional audio recorder. And I've got a laptop sitting down here in front of me that's got talking points because I don't have a teleprompter, because I don't have a budget for any of this. We wanted to do this for a while, and we're just going to do it no matter how much it sucks. It's all just experience. It all helps us get better. I struggle in front of a camera. I don't like talking to a camera. I don't like my own voice, which I think is common for most people. I find the setup to be tedious and overwhelming, but I'm just going to get through it and make crappy videos until they get better and try to do something better every time. Next, what I want to do is just share my interesting projects and experiences. I've done all sorts of things. I've lived off of a bicycle with camping gear, living off about $1 a day, riding 100 miles in a day. I overhauled a 1980s camper and put solar on it and a water heater with a designed and built a custom water heater controller that sets the water temperature based on how much spare electricity you have and the charge of the batteries. Fix the hydraulic system on it. I mean, I've done all sorts of cool things. I've got an electric touring bike now that is my primary form of transportation. I've had it like 2 years. I've got about 4,500 miles on it. Cheap Chinese Amazon e-bike kit. It's going strong. Part of my goal in life is to try new things that most people won't, either because they don't have the time or the energy, or they think there's a high chance of failure. So they're like, why bother? Well, I want to do the things nobody else will try and see why nobody's doing it. Okay, well, this works really well, but it's harder than driving a car. You know, it's way harder to get dressed for an e-bike ride through the snow than to just start your car and hop in it. But there are huge benefits to it, and if you can make it easy enough, more people will do it. Instead of spending tens of thousands on a car, you spend $2,000 on an e-bike and be good for most people, for most places and things. So I want to do the hard things and then report back on them. I've always had a love of wildlife and wildlife filmmaking, documentaries specifically. Animal Planet was my favorite thing in the world. I had small critters growing up, rats, hamsters, lizards, fish, a chinchilla. I've been bitten by so many hamsters. They're so mean. I used to have a trained pet rat who you could call her name and she would come running out and jump up onto your shoulder or climb all the way up and sit there. And you could just sit there and pet her and feed her snacks. She would sit in the back of my hoodie hood or in my big hoodie pocket while I did homework or chores or whatever after school. So I want to get out into the world and film some of these animals and teach people about them and learn about them. Some of my dreams and goals. I want to own a business that solves problems in the world instead of creating them. I've got a design for a machine that will automatically print and cut like playing cards or card-based goods or sheet goods, leather and pleather and fabrics. I don't want to go into it too much because that's a project for another channel which I've got going. But it's something I'm really excited about. It's a way to do things and create but free up time. And it could fund my life in the future. So I'm going to go for it and explore it. I want to eventually build a self-sustaining homestead that doesn't really require any money, outside of property taxes, of course, and like repair parts. The goal is to not have to work, to not have to focus on income generation. I'm not motivated by money. I don't really care about it outside of solving my immediate life problems and funding interesting projects. I've never been motivated by money. I've had money. I've had a little bit of money. I've had no money. I've had a lot of money. Money is a tool, and I plan to find the best use of those tools to solve the various problems that I have. But I want to be able to live without it if I really need to. When I go to retire, I don't want an electric bill. I don't want a water bill. I don't want a grocery bill. And there are ways to solve all of those. They're far harder than just getting a job and working that job. But I think they're worth it, so I'm going to explore that. I've been working on that for years, like 7 or 8 years I've been researching and testing and experimenting. Okay, I want to work through all my various mental roadblocks and struggles. I've got ADHD, and I've got a few other things going on that make everyday life hard. Organization is hard for me. Staying focused is hard. I'm tired all the time. This is all very hard for me. Just getting through the day is a massive struggle. I want to go through that in detail and share what I found. Like my morning routine, I switched the order of laundry and shower to avoid having to run the shower to get the hot water. I just start the laundry first, pause it after it fills up, and then get a hot shower, and pause it after I get back out. I leave my glasses on top of the washing machine right next to the bathroom So that I go, oh, where are my glasses? Oh, yeah, they're on top of the washer. I need to start the washer. So there's tricks to manage ADHD and disorganization and overwhelm and exhaustion. It's something I've been exploring for a while. I want to run a fun YouTube channel that explores life and shares what actually works. I want this to be a fun channel. I've been very depressed for a very long time. That's why I haven't been in front of the camera, because you can see that on camera. You can hear it in someone's voice when they're depressed, and I don't want to bring people down. I want to lift people up. I want people to live a good life like I never had. So I'm going to put in the work to figure out what works and share it in a fun way. That is one of my biggest goals. And it's a lifelong goal. And I'm okay with that. I've been writing for years, but it's time to step into video and learn the processes and master the basics and have some fun. The cameras freak me out, but I'm going to get over it and bring some fun stuff out into the world. Oh yeah, I want to free myself to travel the world. I've always loved traveling. I took a road trip in 2020 in a Tesla for 3 weeks from Ohio to through Colorado, and then out to Santa Monica, California, and then all the way down the coast to San Diego, and then back up through the desert to Ohio. We got a hotel for, I think, 1 or 2 nights in Vegas just for the experience because it was cheap. We had the pool all to ourselves. I saw the West Coast for the first time in my life. I felt true peace for the first time in my life sitting on top of a sand dune. And it changed everything. It changed how I see the world, how I see myself, what I want to do with my life. It was a life-changing trip, and I will always be grateful for that. I've got footage of that I think I might throw in this video as well, just to show people, what's possible. I went out there with a cheap GoPro and just recorded some of my favorite animals. I never thought I would get to see San Diego. I grew up so poor. I mean, the thought of going out to the West Coast and going to like SeaWorld or the San Diego Zoo, 2 of my childhood dreams, unimaginable. And then I made it out there, but I didn't get a chance to see those 2 places, the zoo and SeaWorld. So I have to go back. Oh darn, what a shame. I have to go back to San Diego, one of my favorite places I've ever been. But yeah, I want to travel the world. I want to see Italy. I want to see Rome, Japan, feudal Japan specifically. I want to see the temples, how they were built and how they're maintained. There's so much to explore in life and around the world. So that is one of my biggest goals, is to work remote or have an income that lets me travel and explore. I want to explore documentary filmmaking. I want to get good enough to be able to interview people properly, share their stories, and really dig deep into it, to ask the right questions in the right tone, at the right time, in the right place, with lights that don't blind them and make them uncomfortable. There are ways to get people's best stories out of them, and those stories are worth sharing. Everyone's life is very different and very unique, and everyone has a different perspective on things. If you can bring that out of people, you can learn a lot. I used to sit in the hot tub at the YMCA for about 5 hours a day after work, almost till they closed. I would just sit there and talk to strangers and gather their stories and soak up the heat. When I got too hot, I'd dive into the cold end and dive all the way to the bottom and fetch bricks and toys. And I'd sit in the cold till I shivered, and then I'd hop back in the hot tub, and that would start a conversation with strangers. You've been here all day, and the lifeguards. And so yeah, I want to be able to document those properly. And it all starts here on this crappy little channel called Dustin's Hot Garbage. The name is, to me, hilarious, but it stands for quality of all things. It's ironic, but I love the phrase hot garbage, and I thought it would be really funny. So, documentary filmmaking in the works. Another big goal is to invent machines that enable small-scale manufacturing, like desktop machines that do things automatically for a reasonable price. I was an industrial mechanic. I worked on machines that were hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, millions. And you don't need that kind of machine for desktop level production. Like if you want someone that wants to make a deck of cards, a couple decks of cards for themselves, for prototyping, for board games and stuff, you can do it with a machine like this big that literally has one thing that comes down and just feeds the things in and cuts them. It's not that hard for me. For the average person that doesn't know anything about manufacturing and material science or basic programming or the types of sensors you want to use and the types of motors, and it's overwhelming. The average person that just wants to make things to sell online or to start their own business usually doesn't have the skills to make that machinery. I do. So my plan is to make those machines and then open that world up to other people so we can start making things again for ourselves. You used to have a blacksmith shop. You used to have a local baker. They all specialized. You'd have a textile shop. People specialized in things. But now we import everything from all around the whole world to great expense. That was my text tone. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger yelling, "You idiot." That's a story for another day. But what happens when those supply lines dry up? Like the ports are on strike now on the East Coast, I think. It's going to hit people hard. If you can't get the basic things that you need locally, you might not be able to get them at all. So I want to enable small-scale local manufacturing for communities and individuals. And that comes with, that's what part of my business is going to be. Assuming I can get it off the ground, because running a business is not easy, but it's worthwhile. Anyway, all right, down to the last section, which is video ideas and goals. I want to cover in detail the importance of organization, because that was the biggest thing that changed my life, was learning to get organized and to see further ahead, see multiple steps down the road, and to have kits. I have a leatherworking kit where if I need to do heavy-duty textile work, I grab this one thing by the handle right on top. It has tools lining the outside of the bag. It's got tools inside. It's got fishing organizer trays with the little compartments stacked up inside of it. It's got an open tray on top with the hammer and the basic tools I use. It is a one-stop shop. You grab it and you throw it in a car, and you can go repair someone's couch or their leather jacket or make things out of leather. I owned a little leatherworking business that failed. I made some of the most beautiful little leather drawstring pouches I've ever seen. My buddy has a couple of them, and I think he still uses them. I'll have to check. But kits and organization and an organized mindset are absolutely vital to getting things done, and I really love getting things done. Now, on the other end of that is I like stupid things and dumb humor and slapstick and comedy. I have this idea for a machine that is a big metal garbage can, and you fill it with water, and you put trash or food scraps or garbage in it, basically, and it just heats it up, grinds it up as fine as possible, and just blasts it out of a hose at high pressure. I think I called it a hot garbage can at some point because it literally grinds garbage out and fires it. That machine sounds really stupid, and it is, but there is a legitimate use for something like that I want to cover, and it is something that I would actually use as a kitchen appliance. But I will cover that later because I've got a whole thing that I want to do for custom appliances, custom dishwasher and ovens and all this, because most of them are crap now. I have the skills to actually make good ones. They would be like commercial grade and expensive as all hell, but they would work and they would last and they would use off-the-shelf parts, which I don't think anyone's really doing anymore. Trash blender, custom dishwasher. I don't want to get too into that because I want to save that. That'll be a good one. Camping without any gear, survival camping. I want to know what it's actually like to have to survive the night with nothing. Maybe a pocket knife I'll give myself. I've done a lot of camping and bicycle touring in all kinds of weather. I've ridden when it was a negative 54 degrees wind chill Fahrenheit. I've ridden my bicycle through that. I've camped below freezing. I've camped at close to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. But I've always had decent entry-level gear. And I happen to know a couple of tricks. And I have an emergency plan to survive bitter cold nights. It just requires not sleeping, which sucks. So I want to try that and really test myself and show people what it would take to survive. Like the old Survivor Man show. I love that. This video is probably running pretty long. Camping without gear. All right, car free with an e-bike. I went car free quite a while ago, and then I got another car, and then I got rid of it again. And I have a touring e-bike with a big old battery and a big old hub motor, and that is just how I get around. I have techniques for all weather and all conditions, everything down to special breathing techniques so that your face and nose and lungs don't get frostbite. Um, I've had to. I've had no choice. I refuse to pay for these crappy, overpriced, overcomplicated, unreliable, expensive to own cars that blow through gas just to be stuck in traffic with a bunch of idiots. I like my e-bike. When the traffic gets bad, I hop on the sidewalk and I pass everyone up and then I cross the street as a pedestrian. I don't care. I ride properly and I ride safely, and that makes it easy for me to ride in places like downtown Cleveland. I have ridden through Cleveland rush hour traffic on a fully loaded touring bike without any problems, except the one guy that hit me with his trailer on purpose. That's a story for another day. But I mean, it is possible. That was 110 miles I rode that day. No motor, nothing. Just me, my legs, and camping gear on an old bike that was as old as I was. So yeah, you're capable of a lot more than you would think. And I'm trying to push myself to find those limits and to see what people are really capable of. And my body's a bit broken, but it's still capable. So I'm going to push it. All right, next on the list, public service announcements. I think these would be a fun, silly way to let people know there are better ways to do things. I've put almost no thought into that series, but I think it would be a fun series to do. Every once in a while, I'll just release a PSA like, hey, by the way, did you know that you can ride a bike on the right side of the road with traffic and that it's actually better? Yeah. Next. Oh, the price of snakebite anti-venom. I was going to take a bicycle tour out west until my body said nope. And I looked up what it would cost to just treat a rattlesnake bite, a western diamondback. I'm not going to go into it here, but it was shocking. And I mean, it's a miracle of science that we can save someone's life after they've been bitten by something like that. Before this medical technology existed, you just died. You could probably chop the limb off and maybe survive if you caught it quick enough, but you just most likely died. So that is incredible. You pay for it. You definitely pay for it. Filming in different and interesting places. I want to take my camera with its little light on top and my microphone and my other light here that's on a selfie stick with a little tripod at the bottom and my big tripod. I want to be able to pack all that gear down into a little bag that goes with me everywhere, and I want to film in very interesting places. Here in Ohio, we have quite a few interesting places. There are some gorgeous places to film, and I plan to travel the world, so I'll take my camera with me, and I might do a random video in the middle of the desert. I might bury myself up to my neck in a sand dune and hit record and just talk about the desert. I might take a camera underwater and just do a voiceover, write a script, and go through the motions under camera, and then do a voiceover with my microphone, and then cut them together. So just to keep people guessing, how on earth did he get clear audio while underwater? There are so many tricks that you can use for interesting audio and video and lighting. I love filmmaking. It is fascinating. Special effects specifically, which is kind of where I get my motivation. Adam Savage from Mythbusters. Fantastic. Oh, I want to do a series called How Hard Can It Be? Where you see something, where I would see something that looks simple enough to do. I would say to myself, well, how hard can it be? And then I would just try it. No research, no previous experience, just diving headfirst and seeing what it takes to do some of these things that people do. Like an artist that can draw like a perfect human face. How hard could it really be? Come on. You just look at the face and copy all the lines, and yeah. Now that one I do happen to know about how hard that will be. But that's the goal, is to just try things. Dive headfirst, see what it takes, and learn from it. And then that leads up to the second to last point, or the last point, but I'm skipping the last one. A challenge series. I want to be given a challenge, and this is when I don't have to work, when I can actually really focus on these things, and when I've got my filmmaking skills like nailed down and I'm confident in front of the camera and I've got the equipment I need to do it and the money in the bank. I want someone to say, all right, I've got a challenge for you. You start today, like you're going to have a challenge today, and it's something like cross this lake on your e-bike without using any pre-made boats. Find a way to get that e-bike across the lake safely and then ride 100 miles. And that's a pretty big challenge. My first thought on that is to build a raft that is powered by my e-bike and then just roll the bike on that, push the whole thing in the water, sit on it, hope to God it doesn't tip over, and then just jam on the throttle and motor that thing across the lake. The problem with that is that would use a ton of energy from the battery that I would need to get me, the 100 miles road riding afterwards. So I want to do a challenge series, kind of like the old Top Gear challenges, where they were given a really low budget and then just sent out into the world to do something. I think I want to bring that back. That was one of my favorite things on TV. And actually, that brings me to the end of my list. Where are we at time-wise? Oh, camera doesn't say. Well, the audio recorder. We're at almost 27 minutes. Well, if anyone's still here, thanks for watching. If not, oh well, I guess I'll never know. In the future, I would love feedback on videos like, at what point did you get bored and tune out? Put it in the comments. Did I say something stupid? Did the furnace just turn on, so now I have to talk louder over the furnace vent that's right behind me? I'd love feedback, because I want to do this right and take it seriously and have a ton of fun with it. I've been wanting to do this for years. 2020 is when I bought most of this gear, so never had a chance to use it, never had the confidence. So we're at about a half an hour almost, so I think I'm gonna cut it here, give myself a second to think if there's anything else I want to say. I guess I would just thank Ben for proposing the challenge and really forcing me to do this. I think I'll do another video soon, and I'm going to keep it really short and sweet. This list to me on my screen is only like that long, but I didn't realize how much I had to say about each talking point. So I need to limit myself on the number of talking points. But hope somebody got something out of this. I'm rooting for you, Ben. Thanks for everything, buddy. I will see you soon, and we'll have another good chat about life and maybe play some board games. Cheers. Damn furnace.